Well, it is so good to be back with you again. Dr. Rick Marks here. I'm actually in Louisiana right now. That's right. I'm in Louisiana right now, doing a wedding with some dear friends of ours. Our families kind of, me and Luella and the Smiths, we all grew, our kids grew up together. So met them back in 97. So what is that? 97, 80, 97, 2000, 23 years, 24 years, something like that. Every couple needs couple friends, and they are our closest couple friend. And they have three kids. I had three kids. My oldest son is their oldest son's, their son's age. My daughter, Madison, is their daughter, Becky's age. And they've grown into, all of our kids have grown into phenomenal adults. And I love Chris Smith and Mary Smith very dearly. And so Tim is celebrating his wedding. And so I'm here to officiate and looking forward to it. It's been a rainy, rainy, rainy time here in Louisiana. We're in Slidell, just a little north of New Orleans. Today we actually go into New Orleans, and we'll be hanging out there for a little bit and looking forward to that time with them. Going to a place called Dat Dog, and then Cafe Du Monde, for those who know the area, and getting a beignet, or I don't know, some kind of pastry at 3 o'clock at the Cafe Du Monde. Anyway, suffice to say, we're with family and friends. My son and my daughter-in-law are here, and we're having a great time just hanging out with family and friends, and get to officiate this wedding. Last night was the rehearsal, and I had to do it on Thursday, not Friday, so I had to come in a little bit early to do the rehearsal. Anyways, not a complaint from me. But weddings make you think about love. Love is something everyone's looking for and aspiring towards. But what is love? You heard that song, What is Love? Baby, don't hurt me. And or shakes your head like this, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. At least if you're my age, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. But the reality is, what is love? A lot of people want to go to the Christian scriptures, 1 Corinthians 13, and kind of read what love is there. Some people say that love is not a feeling, that love isn't an emotion, it's a decision, that you choose to act loving, and it's not a feeling. I don't know that anybody really knows what it is. God is love. He doesn't have love. He is love. There's a big difference between having love and being love. God is love. That means he is love as a way of being, which means no matter what he does is loving. Some of us aren't very loving, but we have love, and we can use it when we want it, but by ourselves, we're not really loving. And is love an emotion? My mentor, Dr. Lori Gordon, said it was. I've heard other people in the church, well, love is not an emotion, it's a feeling. It's not a feeling, it's a decision. But I'll tell you something. I'll never forget the first time. So this has been 1983. Still a young sailor in the Navy. Luella and I were friends, but she wouldn't date me for 2.5 years. That wasn't what she wanted. And so finally, through a series of events, she finally agreed to go out with me because she saw no reason to break the friendship off, because she was basically told that by one of her one of the ladies in her life, who's like a spiritual mother to her, said either you give Rick a try or break the friendship off. And Luella said she saw no reason to break the friendship off, so she told me at church that night, that Sunday night, hey, if you that offer to go out tonight, still open, I'll go. So we went, and which I haven't told you all of it. It was very difficult just to get to that place. All right. So we went to McDonald's. I'm a young sailor, not very wealthy. We went there. We're sitting there after church that Sunday night, just talking, and there was a lull in the conversation. We just kind of got quiet. And in the lull of that conversation, Lil had a question she liked to ask a lot back in those days. And the question was, what are you thinking right now? Right now. And so I took the risk, came vulnerable, and I said, well, I'm thinking about how much I like you. I kid you not. As soon as I said this, she goes, I know you are. You're not what I want. And I went, how do you know? And we had this 15-minute dialogue unconsciously, at least to me it was, about whether we're going to be married or not. We hadn't even dated. But there it was, this unconscious talk about whether we'd be married or not. And I drove her home. Dropped her off. As I'm driving back to my apartment, this is like July of 1983. As we're driving back, I'm thinking about that evening in the conversation, and I remember saying, I believe in God. I'm a Christian background, and so my faith is an important part of who I am. Right, so I can't divorce myself from that. But as I'm driving back, I say to God, I say, I don't know what love is. I don't know what love is. It was the first time that I recognized I didn't know what love is. Because in that moment, I didn't know if I loved her or not. Because I didn't know what love is. It was the first time I realized that I don't know if I was there loving my dad. I knew I wasn't loving my stepmom, the way she treated me all those years. And yes, just because you give people food, air, water, and shelter, I get some people think that's love, but let me remind you, just because you give kids food, air, water, and shelter, that doesn't mean love. The government does that every single day for millions of kids across America. Anybody can do that. That's about money, all right? Because the government offers those things regularly. And I even said to God, I said, I don't know what love is. But then I said this. But if what I'm feeling is love, it's the first time I've admitted to myself, then I love her. But I still didn't know what love was. I still did not know. Well, I didn't know if we were going to be dating after that. I didn't know what was going to happen. And we started going out. And she did not make going out easy. She did not. She had some hang-ups and baggage. I think some of religious teachings gotten those kind of things. But, she pointed out to me, once, don't touch me, using the Bible to tell me not to touch her. And it was difficult. But somehow I knew that I loved her. But I never really said it to myself except one night. But on this one particular night where she had given me this Bible verse where it says it's good for a man not to touch a woman. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't done anything. And she told me not to touch her. Well, I'm like, that Bible verse can't mean that. So I went back to my apartment. Now, this is 1983, folks. I went back to my apartment and I started studying that verse and the context around it. Realized it's not what it says. But the next morning, about 5 in the morning, I was in the Navy at the time. I get a phone call from her early morning. And she says she told her roommate about what she did. And her roommate told her she's wrong. She's calling me to mention she was wrong and would I forgive her. And it is the first time I said this to her. I said, well, I forgive you. But I figured out, I've been studying that. I studied that verse till like 2:30 in the morning. I wasn't tell her what it meant. I said, let me tell you what that verse really means. I told her what it meant, but then I said this to her after that. I said, but I recognize something. She said, what's that? I said, I recognize I love you. It's the first time I told her I love her. I said, so I will honor your request. Did you get that? I recognize I love you. So I'll honor your request. I said, but don't ever throw the Bible in my face again like that ever, please. What is love? What is it? Some say it's an emotion. Some say it is not. We sing about it. All right, just brothers admit that you can lose that love and feeling. You have the song, What is Love? We all want it. We're all looking for it. Sometimes it seems elusive to some, and for others, it just surrounds you. What is love? I'm going to submit to you that love is a feeling. I was always taught, through my adult life, in the faith community, and other places. Love is not a feeling; it's a decision. I actually come to realize that actually isn't true. Hang with me if you're in that camp. Don't write me off yet. Just give me a little bit of freedom to share a thought with you. If someone keeps beating you, you're probably not going to, you can keep choosing to love them, and you can keep choosing to act in a loving way if you want. But in the end, you got to get away from it. You got to get away from it. It's really hard to decide to love someone when they keep mistreating you and harming you. Lori Gordon made it clear to me that love is an emotion, and I've come to realize that she was not wrong. Love is an emotion. It has a feeling, emotional component to it. We'll talk about that in just a minute. For those in the Christian faith, many people turn to 1 Corinthians 13, where love is patient and kind. It's not rude. It doesn't envy. It doesn't boast. It doesn't rejoice when evil wins. It bears all things, endures all things. 15 traits listed there. 15 traits listed there. As I've studied that definition of love, I've come to realize of those 15 traits, 13 are variations of two things: patience and kindness. To rejoice when evil wins is unkind. To be rude is unkind. To be envious is unkind. To be jealous is unkind. To bear all things and endure all things is about patience. So I've come to realize I wanted to practice love, then I had to become patient and kind in all its forms. But is that love in itself? Could I be patient and kind and not feel love? I might be loving as a person, but that may not mean I feel love towards you. People say that emotions are illogical. I'm going to argue that emotions are very logical if you're willing to take the time to understand the logic of emotions. People say that emotions are illogical. You hear that a lot, particularly in the churches. I'm a minister background, not just a psychologist. That emotions are logical. Emotions are very logical if you understand the logic of emotions. And the logic of emotion is really simple. The brain is wired to avoid pain and pursue pleasure. It's pain and pleasure. It's the logic of pain and pleasure. And the logic of pain and pleasure is that the brain is wired to avoid pain and pursue pleasure. And when you step back and start to look at why people are doing the things that they do and the reasons for it, you begin to realize what you're doing is very logical based on what your brain is doing to avoid the pain. It may seem crazy to do those things, but it's logical in terms of what your brain's trying to do to avoid pain and pursue pleasure. And so, because the brain is all about pain and pleasure, I want you to think about love this way. All humans have needs. We all have needs. We have survival needs, the need for food and physical survival, food, air, water, shelter. Got to breathe, got to eat, you need shelter. And those needs must be met. And when they're met, we thrive. We also have emotional needs. Some people call those bonding or intimacy needs, relational needs. Those are hardwired into what's known as the limbic system of the brain, which is the emotional brain. And we have these emotional bonding needs. Now, let's be honest. You can get food, air, and water, shelter pretty much on your own. You can go find it. But of all the human needs, it's only one group of needs you cannot meet on your own. And it's the need for attachment, the need for love. Those needs must be given to you. There are 10 of those, and these were identified by Dr. David Ferguson many years ago in his work. I ordered those needs in the acronym of CARES, C-A to the fifth power, R-E-S squared. We all need comfort. We all need attention and acceptance and approval and affection and appreciation. We all need respect. We all need encouragement, security, and support. And when those needs are met, we thrive. When those needs are not met, you don't thrive. You're in pain. If I need appreciation and I get appreciation, I feel appreciated, I feel loved. If I need appreciation and I don't get appreciation, I feel unappreciated and I don't feel loved. And the only needs that you cannot meet on your own are your emotional needs. And all needs must be met, and they will be met. And so these emotional needs, when they're met, you feel loved, you feel pleasure. You feel like you're a source of pleasure. Those people are a source of pleasure. And those people in our life who treat us in a way that is pleasurable, they're pleasurable to be around, you feel a sense of desire for them. And that feeling of desire, that desire for them manifests itself in feelings of love. And we love those who are a source of pleasure for us and keep on being a source of pleasure. Get that? We love those who are a source of pleasure and those who keep on being a source of pleasure. And when you stop being a source of pleasure, I will stop having feelings of love for you. Because when you are a source of pain, either a source of pleasure or a source of pain. Lori Gordon, who taught me this many years ago, my great teacher mentor, she said to me, you know, Rick, every single day when we live our lives, what you do around people, moment by moment, is either a source of pleasure or a source of pain. If the way you treat Luella is a source of pleasure, then she'll desire to be around you. If she's a source of pain, if you are a source of pain, then a part of her is not going to feel safe with you. And that's what happens. If you treat someone in a way that's not pleasurable, that you're more of a pain, then the brain doesn't feel love. The brain feels threatened. The brain feels unsafe. And when I don't feel safe for you, safe around you, and by the way, there's 3 forms of safety here. I have to feel safe that you're committed to this relation. If I am not secure that you are committed to this relationship, then there's a feeling of insecurity. So we all need commitment safety. We also need physical safety. I need to feel safe you're not going to hurt me physically. You're not going to beat me. You're not going to hurt me. We need a sense of physical security as well. But we also need emotional safety. Emotional safety. That means I have the freedom to be emotionally open with you. You see, to bond to another person, to be connected to another person at the emotional relational level, you got to have 2 things going to the brain. You have to be emotionally open to them and physically close. And I will not be emotionally open and physically closed if I don't feel safe with you. And I don't feel safe with you because the way you treat me, you're a source of pain, not a source of pleasure. You might be thinking, oh, come on, Rick, this sounds too simple. It is. My favorite quote's by Einstein. Einstein said, make things simple, no more simpler. He's right about that. Always joke around and say, I'm a closet redneck from North Georgia. I like simple. Simple's a lot better. And when we are a source of pleasure, people feel desire. When you are a source of pain, they don't feel desire, they feel danger. And when you are not a source of, when you're a source of pain, I feel danger around you, then the lower brain says you got to do 1 of 3 things now, Rick. You got to run. So you withdraw and run from a relationship because you're afraid of being hurt. That could be emotionally or physically. Or you fight. So you go to the fight response of the brain because I have to hurt you so that before you can hurt me. Or I freeze and I don't know what to do. So I become just hyper logical and reasonable with you. And I'm not going to deal with anybody's feelings, yours or mine. Because everything we do, we are a source of pleasure or a source of pain. If you're a source of pleasure, people feel desire, and that shows up in feelings of love. But here's the real key. When you stop being a source of pleasure, I will lose the feelings of love. Love is a feeling. And you cannot legislate, you cannot mandate, you cannot order feelings of love. The feelings of love are dictated by whether that person is a source of pleasure in your life, and they renew that being a source of pleasure on a regular basis. Now, if I lose the feelings of love, that does not mean I cannot commit myself to treat you in a loving way. But I don't like to use that word that way, the love word that way. You see, we live by 4 words and relate well: goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy. We call those the 4 protectors of the relationship. And whenever you treat people with goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy as a way of being, guaranteed you are loving. Because love always treats people with goodwill. Love is always respectful. Love is always caring. And you can't do it without humility. Pride will kill all the other 3 off. And so when you choose to live a life by goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy, we call those the 4 protectors of us being in a relationship. There's no doubt you're being loving, because love always treats people respectfully. Love always treats people with care. Love always treats people with respect. And the moment I treat you with ill will, I'm not loving. Why? Because love doesn't treat people with ill will. The moment I'm being disrespectful, I'm not being loving. And if I treat people with goodwill, respect, humility, empathy, more often than not, I'm coming across in a loving way, and they'll feel loved. But if I treat you with ill will, if I treat you with disrespect, if I treat you with a lack of empathy, the message is I don't care. Guaranteed, I'm operating in pride. And pride goes before destruction. Arrogant spirit, haughty spirit before a fall. And when you're in pride, you won't have goodwill, respect, humility, because pride will kill those off. Those 3 things require humility. And when I'm operating in that, you probably won't feel it. Now, you can commit. Let me say it now. I can commit to treat you with goodwill and respect. People say, well, you can commit to act in a loving way. True. I like to say it this way, though. I can commit to treating you with goodwill and respect, even though I have no feelings of love for you. We can all treat people with goodwill and respect. Why? Well, they're human. They exist. And the fact that a human exists requires them being treated with dignity. You always respect a person's dignity. And every human has dignity. Why? Just because they exist. You know, some of the greatest violations we see in leadership are violations of dignity. It's when leaders disrespect the dignity of another. They devalue people. See, here's another thing I learned about love is this. Love always treats people with value. See, you can substitute the word love with value, and it would have the same meaning. Example. We misuse the word love so much. I mean, think of it this way. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love the U.S. military. I'm a 12-year Navy vet. And I love mint chocolate chip ice cream. I love them all. You hear the misuse of the word love in that, right? Rick, you love mint chocolate chip ice cream and your wife? Yeah, I do. You hear the misuse of the word love there. What if I changed the word love to this word? What difference would it make? I value my wife and I value my children. I do not value the U.S. military ever near as much, and I don't value mint chocolate chip ice cream at all. I just love it. Now, think of it this way. If I treated my wife on a regular basis in a way that devalued her, could she then not argue that I don't love her? And the answer is yes, she could. Because love never devalues the object of love. Did you get that? Love never devalues the object of love. And when you treat someone on a regular basis in a way that devalues them, that means you're a source of pain, they're not going to feel love for you. Because love doesn't devalue people. To disregard someone, to manipulate them, to hurt them physically or emotionally, is to devalue someone. And if you treat me on a regular basis in a way that devalues me, I can question whether or not you love me. You know, I've always found it disingenuous when a man treats his wife on a regular basis over years in a way that devalues her, and then she leaves him. She walks out of his life, and he's bothered by that. I'm like, why are you bothered by that? Well, she's leaving me. I go, no, I got that. I asked, why are you bothered by that? Well, she's leaving me, Dr. Marks. I go, I got that. I'm asking, why are you bothered by that? What do you mean? And I would say, well, over the years, you've disrespected her. You've devalued her. You sent her a message, I don't value you. I don't know why you're bothered by her leaving. You should be welcoming it, because based on the way you treated her over the years, you sent the message, I don't value you. I don't want you. All she's really doing is releasing you to your selfishness now. She's letting you go be you because you convinced her that you don't love her. Love never devalues the object of love, ever. And when you treat me in a way that devalues me over time, I will lose the feelings of love for you. Now I can commit to treating you with goodwill and respect when I'm in your presence. But that does not mean I have feelings of love for you. And the righteous brothers are right. They're absolutely right. You've lost that love and feeling. Whoa, that love and feeling. It's because you've been treating them in a way that has devalued them over time. Or you taught them in a way that sent them the message, I don't love you. And when a person figures out that you don't, they're going to walk out of your life. Or they'll just stay there and be miserable for other reasons. Not a good way to live life. Not a good way to live life. See, I never really knew that my dad loved me. I mean, I felt it. I knew it. I mean, you asked me today, did my dad love me? I go, yeah, he did. Though I never felt it. I knew for a fact my stepmother did because I never felt it. And she kind of indicated by the way she talked to me, and tore me down all the time. You know, we need to understand that love is an emotion. And the feelings of love are dictated by whether you treat someone on a regular basis, in a consistent way that says, I value you. And when you treat people with goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy, which really is the essence of being loving anyways, they will feel love for you. Now, here's another piece to this puzzle. If you grew up in a broken home like I did, our tendency and our fears and our hurts is to anticipate pain or pleasure from another person. Even though you may be a pleasure person and my brain is anticipating pain, I'm not going to feel love. That's not your issue. It's mine now. Because my brain is anticipating rejection. It's anticipating abandonment. It's anticipating something. Because that's what my brain learned. This is why it's always important to live in the present. To live in the present and make your decision based on what is true in the present, what is real, and not by what is history. Live in the here and now, not in history. History was, here and now is. You might find out this person really is loving. It's just you're not able to receive it because your brain is hypersensitive about getting something that it doesn't want. So it blocks the ability to allow people to love. I did that early on in my marriage. I blocked the ability to love me because I was so, my brain, at an unconscious level, love is unconscious, was concerned about rejection and abandonment, being left alone. And so I tended to stiff arm intimacy, keep people at a distance, just in case you leave me and abandon me. You know, in our working relationship, well, we believe the most important part of a relationship is not the husband or wife, it's us. Us wins, you both win. Us loses, you both lose. It is all about us. And when you live a life of goodwill, humility, respect, and everything, you'll always protect your relationship. Thus, you both feel love. I call it when you feel us. You always know when us is in the house because you can feel its presence and you can feel its absence. It takes two to make an us and one to kill it. And when you feel us, that's feeling the love. When you don't feel in us, you've lost feeling the love. And every decision you make gives you or gives us. When the bulk of your decisions are made based on what's best for us, you'll always feel the connection, the bond, the feelings of love. I'd rather live that way than the way I grew up, not really feeling it, but the angst and tension and the fear, the insecurities. You see, love is an emotion. It is. And when you lose the feelings of love, love then becomes a decision that I commit to choose to treat you with goodwill and respect, even though I have no feelings of love for you. Because it's difficult to have feelings of love for someone who's a constant source of pain, a threat. Every decision we make gives you or gives to us. There is no other option. And when the bulk of your decisions are based on what's best for you, you can do that. But you understand what you're really saying is, I don't value us, I value me. And those feelings of love will go away. They'll die. And basically, you're just two people living in a distant, disconnected home, or depending on what else is going on, all you can feel is tension, vulnerability, volatility. I grew up in that. I don't want that as a life. I didn't get married to be miserable. So what is love? Love's an emotion. When you lose feelings of love, now you get to treat each other with goodwill and respect. And if you treat each other with goodwill and respect, you'll get the feelings of love back rather quickly. Love is patient and love is kind. That is for sure. Those are the 13 traits listed there in 1 Corinthians 13 are really just variations of patience and kindness. Practice patience and kindness. In order to do that, you got to have goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy. You're no more like God than when you're loving. And you're no more like the enemy of God when you're not loving. It's real simple. Simple's good. It's best for the brain. And I get to choose moment by moment by moment. Where do I want to live my life? In Relate Well, we actually teach people how to live a life of loving, mature, live life lovingly and maturely, so that even in conflict, you can protect your relationships. You can protect us from the issues that are out there. So we solve them together as an us, so that when we enter into conflict, we're protecting the relationship, we're protecting the love. I like living that way. Now, I don't do it perfectly because I'm not perfect, but I can learn to do it maturely. So those are some thoughts for you. And I hope maybe today, in some small way, I may have encouraged you or inspired you to go live a life of goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy in all aspects of your life. Make it a way of being. So no matter what you do, people will say, man, you're loving, you're caring, you're compassionate. Which, by the way, was Jesus himself, for those of you in the faith community. It was Jesus himself. Let's go build healthy, loving, caring relationships in all aspects of life. And when you treat people in ways that honor and respect them, they feel love because you're a source of pleasure. When you treat them in a way that disregards them, hurts them, harms them, they won't feel love because you're a source of pain. You decide. You'll be a source of pleasure or a source of pain. Whichever one you decide, both roads have consequences. Some are positive, most are negative, based on the pain side. And I can choose every single day and moment by moment, which road I want to walk down. This is Dr. Rick. Have a great day.